Brock Purdy, oh my gosh, here's my big takeaway from the weekend, the most important one. He returned to game action since the offseason elbow surgery. Remember, he was like throwing towels and nobody was believing he was okay. He looked so good. We had a reporter on our show say he might be better than he was last. I mean, she might be right, okay? Adios to the blah banter about his practice interceptions. Everyone shut up. No criticism when he's ripping throws. He finished 4-5, 65 yards through the air. He had a nice 8-yard scramble as well. And he takes the Niners to a short field goal on his lone drive of the game. Now, there wasn't anything like fireworks, jaw-dropping. It wasn't a 7.0 on the old Richter scale. He did look exactly, this Brock Purdy, like the guy that we saw in San Francisco, leading this offense efficiently, taking them to 8 straight wins down the stretch of the season last year and into the great unknown of the playoffs. Okay, and this is sort of what we were waiting on here, okay? It's one thing for Kyle Shanahan, who sort of mercurial, whatever, like he sits up there and he's like, Brock's fine, Brock's doing great. It's one thing for him to tell us that and say he's clearly the starter, but I do think that we all needed to see it for ourselves, okay? Our personal egos are invested in this, and we are not capable of trusting Shanahan or the medical staff or just having blind faith. No, we need to play the role of Doogie Howser / Doug Ross from ER / hi, Dr. Nick, and we need to sort of medically clear people ourselves. I believe that's part of like our collective consciousness. Like, we need to see it ourselves. Well, he passed with flying colors, okay? We are discharging that idea from our collective subconscious IR, okay? And now I think the convo has to spin forward to Trey Lance. What are we doing with you? We know Sam Darnold, NFL starter, can be at least a capable backup, if not more. He can step in. So it makes sense to trade Trey. But if I'm trading Trey, I think I said this last week, like, wave that kind of sexy stat line from week 1 of the preseason. And then it was pretty nice from week 2 as well. Talk up your quarterback. Say he's good. He could be. That is not what Shanahan's doing. You'd think Kyle would pump up his guy, but not when he was asked about him last week. It was sort of negative, or at least he didn't clear up any negativity surrounding his quarterback.
It just goes with the territory. I mean, it goes with it for quarterbacks. It goes with it for anybody who's a high draft pick, but especially a quarterback. You watch, and that's one of the tough things, I think, for that position, but also for high draft picks. I mean, you watch receivers come in the league and they have a few drops early in camp, and there becomes a lot of pressure on them. People want to see those people take off and do it right away and have no flaws, and that's just part of it.
Is it kind of like Captain Lackluster here? Is it more about, like, not making it, too much for Brock to handle if he talks up Trey or any of that? But, I mean, Kyle there, and several times, as depicted on Rob Guerrera's timeline, did not go to bat for Trey's abilities or, how great he can be in this league or a piece for another team, kind of at all. And if Trey isn't in the future plans of the San Francisco 49ers, which it clearly seems like he's not, I do feel like let's talk him up and trade him, right? The Niners, they're slated to be $12 million over the cap next year, and that's without Nick Bosa on the book. So trading Trey, guys, saves them a much-needed $9 million against the cap over the next 2 seasons. So, I mean, there's a bunch of teams that are popping up. I'm hearing a lot of Bucks talk. You got the Trask, you got the Baker Mayfield situation. I think that'd be cool. That makes sense for him to maybe go there. But what do the kids say on Twitter? Hear me out. But hear me out, okay? How about the Vikings? This is the team that I saw pop up, and I said, oh, I like that. First of all, cute connection, family vibe here. That's his hometown team. You want to send him there. There's no rush for him to, like, get out there and do anything. He can sit. He can develop for a year behind a quarterback who will help teach him, who's not afraid to, he's a very made man in Kirk Cousins, who's still starting there and has been consistent for the past almost decade for this team, which is crazy that much time's gone by. Cousins hits free agency next year, so this would be a nice sort of fit if he does sit and learn from him and all that osmosis sort of creeps in, then maybe before he, Kirk moves on somewhere else and you can get him to start, it gives you some cap relief. If you're on this Viking squad, it's a team that's sort of trying to compete, was the division leader last year, while they rebuild, while they retool, while they say goodbye to pieces like Eric Kendricks. They have not addressed the quarterback spot because it's been Cousins, consistent. So trade of the Vikings, not the craziest idea. Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest Up and Adams content right on YouTube.